Audio speed. This is my third freaking time doing this because I messed up the first two times. Clearly, I don't YouTube, but I'm trying. Hey everyone, I'm Justin from Tenfold, and this is your first time seeing my face on the screen. I'm usually behind the camera, so this is something new for me. Today we're gonna do a breakdown of a recent video that we put out a few weeks ago about cerebral palsy awareness. If you haven't seen the video, please do so. It'll mean the world to me. I love you. So the reasoning behind this video is in March, it's Cerebral Palsy Awareness Month, and Jason, living with cerebral palsy, who is my brother, he's my best friend, and he's the funniest guy in the world. And it was important for me to tell his story and tell our family's story, that when you see a family living with someone who has a disability, you often see them as the challenges that they face or the difficulties that they overcome every single day. But often do you ever see the pure joy, happiness, and love that they have because they're closer and they're stronger together. And that's exactly what I wanted to show, and that's what we did. Now, usually there's always 4 or 5 of us on a shoot, and being COVID and times of uncertainty, my parents wasn't really the biggest fan of having that many people in the house, so I had to do it by myself. But I also took it as a challenge to see how far can I push this with just 1 or 2 lights, 1 or 2 lenses, and myself in the camera, and see how nimble can I go creating this video in one location. So with that being said, let's get the gear talk out of the way. I just used the Sony FX9, 2 lenses, which is the Zeiss 55 and the Sigma 35, both prime lenses. And for the lights, I used the Nanlite 60B with the lantern and the Nanlite mixed panel. And I also had some bounces here and there with like a black sheet and a white sheet to help shape the light, but that's pretty much it. So for the first breakdown, we have the talking heads and the interviews, which is literally this setup here, how I'm looking at you in this camera. I just had 1 light, which is the lantern, the 60B in the lantern, and it provides a nice ambient tone into the room and also provides a nice soft wrap around the face. On top of that, I added a little bit of bounce from the floor. So what I did was I put a white blanket on the floor just to lift the levels up from under the face. So one other thing that I did in the scene was there was a massive window behind them. So I let a sliver of light through, so that way it provides a nice hair light and backlight separating them from the background. Man, I'm new at this. Honestly, I don't even know if the backgrounds are blown out. It probably is, because the sun and the clouds, it's a cloudy and sunny day, so it's gonna go in and out throughout the day. So just a fair warning. All right, so for JP's scene, just 1 light. I just had the mixed panel behind the subject, casting a backlight or a side light, depending how we're looking at it. And it provides a nice contrast and a nice shadow. For the second part of the scene, when you see JP's face, JP's face. Sorry, JP. So when you see JP's face, I wanted it a little bit more moody. I took the black blanket and I taped it up onto the wall on camera side to provide a little bit more shadow and a little bit more contrast, making it a lot more moody than what it was. Alright, so for Josh's scene, fun fact, Josh is Jason's twin brother. So Jason's room has a massive window in it. I opened up the window as much as I could to let in as much natural light as I can. But I wanted a little bit more wrap on the subject. So what I did was I put the panel, casting just a little bit more wrap onto the subject and bringing up the ambient room tone. So for the next scene, when you saw the tights of Jason's face, I wanted it to be a lot more moody and contrasty. So what I did was I took that black blanket, taped it up against the wall behind the camera to provide a lot more shadow, a lot more shape and contrast into Jason's face. And the light coming from the window and the wrap providing a nice sliver of light onto his nose and onto his eyes, it just made it nice. So on the flip side, when you see Josh's face, I don't know if you noticed it, but behind him you can slightly see the C-stand, and I had to frame Josh in a way where he was blocking the C-stand because there was no way I can boom in the arm or make things move around. So luckily there was at least 34 seconds in there where he was cleanly blocking it, and I had to crop in just a touch just to block a little bit more. But with cinema magic, anything's possible. So for my dad's scene, it was kind of similar to how I lit Josh's scene, where there was a massive window in the living room. I opened that up to let in as much natural light as possible, but I wanted, again, more wrap. So what I did was I used the Nanlite 60B this time with the lantern to provide more room tone and provide nice wrap on the face. And for the tighter shots, it was a little bit too dark. It's falling too much into the darkness. So what I did was I taped a white sheet onto the ceiling and it provided a nice bounce, just a little bit more levels onto the shadow side. How's the windows doing? I think it's all right. All right, so for my mom scene, it was a tight, small bathroom, and it was a challenge, but made things work. I was able to boom in the lantern, and I was shooting it far side of the camera to provide a little bit of wrap and contrast on Jason's face when I was doing the tights, and the lantern did wonders. It gave a nice, again, great room tone, great ambience, and just enough light onto the face to give me levels. Another thing that I did was I took that black blanket and I taped it up against that sliver of wall. I taped it up against that wall just to provide a small little contrast, a small shadow onto Jason's side of the face. All right, so for my scene, I didn't do anything. I just didn't have any negs, didn't have any bounces, no lights, just the sun. The only thing I did do was I shot against the sun, so that way myself and Jason were silhouetted. Alright, so there was a few editing and filmmaking techniques that I did to help portray the emotion. So there's pretty much two parts of the video. There is the first half where we are acknowledging that there's daily struggles and there's daily obstacles that we face on a day-to-day life living with Jason. And on the second half of the video, we are embracing what Jason gives us. Even though yes, we know that he's unable to walk, he's unable to eat and drink on his own or brush his teeth or get changed, but there's so much love and there's so much joy and there's so much happiness that he brings in our lives that it doesn't matter. So for the first half of the video, I wanted to be all sticks and all static, and even if it was handheld, I tried to stay as stiff as possible, and that was to show that the stiffness in Jason's life and in our life, knowing that like we can't really move. And in the second half of the video, I wanted to be more free and I wanted to be more lively. So what I did was, when handheld, I wanted the viewers to feel like you're in the action, you're in with my family, and you're feeling what we're feeling. So on the editing side, I played with the aspect ratios, where in the first half of the video, it was 2:3:9, and it made you feel like you were boxed in with a narrow field of view. And on the second half of the video, blew that wide open to make you feel open, make you feel free. And again, just to make you feel like you're a part of the family, you're part of the love, and you feel what we feel. All in all, I'm very happy with how the video turned out. I'm very happy with how the story turned out and how the images looked, knowing that it was just by myself. Did I miss having the guys there? 110%. It's always better, it's always nicer to have extra hands, extra eyes, extra ears, extra brains, extra everything to help you create the best possible image and to help you tell the best possible story that you can tell. But it's reassuring to know, and it's nice to know that if you are in a pinch, or if you do find yourself shooting something solo with just 1 or 2 lights and a few lenses, it is possible. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed watching me on screen. You'll probably be seeing more of me, and thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!